We like to camp. A lot. We enjoy challenging ourselves with tough trips, big portages, long paddles, heavy loads, and lots of work. It makes the rewards that much sweeter. But we almost always do our canoe trips together. Until now.
I wanted to do a solo canoe trip. I wanted to carry and paddle a canoe on my own, set up camp and navigate across land and water on my own. I needed to be in the driver's seat, so to speak, to ensure that I was capable and confident, that I could get myself out of the backcountry on my own if the need ever arose. No longer just a partner or a passenger, but in charge of my own trip.
We chose a familiar loop in Lake Superior Provincial Park, one that we've done several times together. I'd do this loop in one direction,
and I'd do it in the opposite direction. These are our shared solo trips.
Sort of. So you're going to notice something different about this trip. Sheri and I are going camping together, but not really. We're actually doing two separate solo trips. We're here in the north end of Lake Superior Provincial Park on Fenton Lake, and Sheri and I are going to paddle the first couple of lakes together. And then Sheri's staying on Treeby Lake tonight, and I am going to be leaving the park north out to Junction or Underhill Lake, I'm not sure, whichever campsite I like better. And we're going to camp overnight separately and canoe separately and all the fun things. And then we're going to meet up tomorrow night on Shaka Lake. And Sheri's paddling her own canoe solo. And I've got a rented canoe. We do have a second boat, but in order to not have to take a second vehicle up, we decided to rent a boat, and I've got a fun story about that already that I'll tell you once we've got camp set up.
How do we know what way this is shooting?
Do you see a lens on your side? No. And it's not shooting at you.
Here I go, my very first portage.
It's a pretty steep port for Sheri's very first backcountry portage. Trial by fire. It's only 50 meters long though, so. So we're in this gorgeous little beaver pond after that first little port. We're just at the very end of June. It's been a really, really wet month, so it's very slippery in there. We're gonna have a tough time getting firewood, but we can do it.
A little sketchy. Okay, port number 2 on my own. It's a little bit wet in here. The rocks are a bit slippery. This is my last portage for today. Now we have to get in and get out on the water before Jay can put his boating. It's a little bit tight in here. Beautiful.
Okay, are we bidding adieu for the day? You're gonna be good?
Yep.
Okay, I'll see you tomorrow, baby. Love you. You be safe.
Love you too.
And that's that. Sheri's off on her own, gallivanting on Treeby Lake. This very ghostly, eerie fog has fallen on the lake, and it's quite remarkable, but it makes navigation a little bit more difficult. So Cher's got an idea of the campsite that she wants to stay at, and I'm just gonna head over to Junction Lake to see what the campsite over there looks like.
I don't know if you can see up at the top of that beautiful, beautiful white pine, but there's a large eagle's nest. And I remember it from the last time we were here, 2 or 3 years ago. Beautiful.
It's so eerie out in the middle of this lake. All this mist. It's just amazing. Like, it's surreal, basically. Little islands poking through the mist. It is remarkable. Video and photos aren't going to do it justice. You kind of had to be here.
So this is me. This is my first solo canoe and overnight camping trip. We're at Fenton-Treeby, which is a park that I know pretty well, so I feel safe being here on my first solo trip. But I'm just gonna show you around, and then we're gonna get camp made because it might rain. So gotta get the tent and tarp up and then get some firewood.
Another really short one. It's 100 meters, but it's beautiful. Out of Lake Superior Provincial Park boundaries and into Junction Lake. I saw a bald eagle. Tried to get him, but he was too far away without my good camera, so letting me know everything's gonna be okay for Sheri. It's funny, like, immediately as soon as we parted ways, I watched her paddle away until she snuck into the channel and I couldn't see her anymore. She's gonna be fine. I'm not worried about that. I already miss her.
Okay guys, the weather's been super weird. It's been foggy, then sunny, then misty and foggy, and now it's foggy and threatening rain again. But I have my tarp and my tent set up. It's a new tent, so it took me a little bit longer, and hopefully it does the job tonight. But I'm just gonna try and get a fire going. Definitely takes more time when there's just one person, but I'm doing okay. I'm just gonna start a fire and boil some water and get some dinner.
So I got extremely lucky and I found a dead piece of maple, and it's still bone dry in the middle, and it's taken everything in me not to go share some of that harvest with Sheri, because she lives one lake over. But I'm not gonna go babysit her. She's way stronger than I am in just about every way, and she wants to do this on her own, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just worried she'll just not find any wood easily because she's going to the campsite, and then just sit in the tent all night. And it is surreal in here. The wind has died down, but the mist is just hanging on the lake. It's pretty gorgeous. This beats a thunderstorm, I'll tell you that. Tough to find anything in this thick fog, let alone a campsite that isn't really an official campsite. It's a gorgeous lake though. So I found camp. Just after I was talking to you about being difficult to find anything, much less a campsite with this fog, I came around the corner and here's the spot that I thought I could stay at. So I'm gonna get the tarp standing so that we can beat that rain and then set up camp. Just a standard trucker's hitch here so that I can cinch it tight on both sides. So the middle is going to stay loose, and this far end, actually it worked out really nicely that there's actually a knot in the rope because I had to combine two ropes together. So there's a knot in the rope that's going to hold it, and then I've just got to use this little guy as a toggle to keep this from moving, and we are secure. We're good to go. Thinking that should do. So Sheri almost always does this tent. I'm not really familiar with it, let's say. I brought the thermarest and the climate. I've got a plush sleeping place tonight. I will report back in the morning as to how this goes, but right now it feels luxurious.
I made some vegetables and potatoes with chicken sausage for supper. So it's raining. I'm just waiting for my my dinner to cook, but it is raining, so I've retreated to the tent to wait it out. Hopefully it stops, but we're just gonna watch it from in here. The rain stopped, so I'm just sitting out enjoying the fire, listening to the birds. The fog has cleared up, so it's actually a beautiful view out here. Just thinking about like how important it is to have my independence while we're out camping, and to have the skills and the confidence in my skills while we're out here backcountry camping. We do a lot of remote trips, and I rely a lot on Jay sometimes to let us know where we are, and I think it's important to take a bit of that pressure off of him. So that's kind of the purpose of this trip, is to I guess let myself know that I can do it, and to actually pay attention to the details and the work that's put into it. A lot of times we split the chores, so on a solo trip I have to do all of the chores on my own, which means water, fire, shelter. Yeah, so far it's been a great day. I'm enjoying this.
So there was some very light drizzle, but tucked away under the cedars. It's almost imperceptible here. But I just tucked my firewood underneath, right at the base of a cedar. That's going to keep it as dry as you're going to get. I'm just going to go out looking for a bear hang. This seems to be a pretty high traffic area for large mammals, and I've got meat in there, or the smell of meat, because tonight I'm cooking a backcountry pho of sorts. But first I've got to find a bear hang, and then I tried to baton those large pieces of maple, and I wasn't successful necessarily. So I'm looking for smaller chunks so that I can get some coals, because I am cooking this steak, but I need coals to cook it on. I can't cook it on an open flame. So, and softwood doesn't give me that. So that light drizzle is a little bit heavier now, but I was successful in finding a bear hang. It's just, about 100 yards that way. I'm getting kind of hungry, but I do have some bars, so I'm going to ride this out. Hopefully, it was supposed to clear up by about 5 or so. It's now, I think, about 6 or shortly after 6. So I'm just going to munch on a bar, hope that it clears up, and then I can start my fire and cook my my delicious sounding meal. But first, I'm going to dig in like a schoolboy on this brand new book we just got. It's not brand new. It was written back in 1936. Tales of an Empty Cabin by Gray Owl. Cannot wait. It's cleared up a fair bit with that rain. It's still very lightly drizzling, but I think it's moved through. It looks a little bit lighter on the other side of this. So I'm going to dare to make a fire. See how this goes. As I said, everything is quite wet, especially this stuff. But maybe we can get it lit if we give it enough air. Definitely give us a smoky fire. I'll be impressed if this actually works. I'll be the most impressed of all of us. It's fun to be able to see the other side of the lake finally, for the first time. So, a backcountry chef, I am not, but I'm going to try this recipe out. 2 fresh steak medallions. I'm going to cover those in Montreal steak spice and some salt and pepper. I'm going to grill those steaks. I might actually have to do them in my pot. I'm not going to be able to cook with coals. Boil some water. Add some ramen. Look at the darkness. That's all the steak and the spice. Oh yeah. Some red curry paste. And garnish it off with some green pepper and green onion. I cut the steak into strips and then put it all back in. And that is what we will call backcountry curry pho. I'm mixing a lot of stuff in there, but I'm sure it's going to be yummy. I'll add in the steak strips, curry paste. So yeah, this is spicy curry powder, spicy Montreal steak spice, and spicy chicken noodle seasoning. Very light drizzle starting again, but hopefully it doesn't get into a full rain so that I have to abandon this beautiful fire I can't believe I got started. So I very reluctantly left the fire just because the rain's starting to get real, and actually there's a little bit of a breeze picking up. Check that out, friends. Oh, that's good. Sheri, you did good, baby. Great recipe. Great thought. This is the perfect utensil for eating this. Flip it over, get a little bit of the broth going, and some onions. Oh yeah, buddy. I also just wanted to mention how proud I am of Sheri for doing this. She was saying that, and I witnessed it, Most of the people are friends and things like that who she mentions to that she's doing this trip. They mostly ask her, why? Like, why would you do that? Like, why would you do this by yourself? You know, with a big heavy pack in a canoe, and like there's bears and whatever else. And so she was kind of thrown off by that a little bit. But she's been working out and working on her paddling, working on her knots in order to get ready to take on this challenge. So, Cher, when you're watching this, I'm proud of you and I love you, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow.
I'm still here on my own doing a solo. It rained quite a bit last night, but everything seemed to stay fairly dry. I just had a nice warm welcome by my Ganser babies and their mom. It's a little cloudy, but it's not raining, and I'm gonna get some coffee going. Got this new water system because generally we have the platypus, but Jay has that with him on this trip, so we got a second system. For those of you who follow the channel often, Jay is generally the one who gets up first and makes coffee on our camping trip, I'm just going to start packing up. I have one lake to move over through one portage, which is about 100 meters. But I want to get out there before the wind picks up today, because the wind kind of pushes the front end of the canoe, and I'd prefer not to be paddling in a strong wind today on my first solo trip. So just going to pack up and head on out.
I slept reasonably well for night one of a trip, which never usually sees me sleeping beautifully, but the double sleeping pad setup worked beautifully. It rained all night, but never really hard, just hard enough to soak everything even that much more inside the bush here. So I'm going to get a fire started so I can make coffee, maybe even have a little bit of breakfast. But this would be even more challenging than last night's fire to start. But I have a secret weapon. Friends of ours, Steve and Sylvia McNaughton, have a product that they're starting to roll out. It's the Wilson Fire Cup. I don't know if that's the actual name of it, and I don't think that it is actually. It's modeled after the Castaway character played by the volleyball. It's just a byproduct of their main business, which is custom log furniture. So it's just cedar shavings and paraffin wax and a paper cup. Burns solid for 15 minutes, so that should be enough as long as I can strip the bark off of these little twigs. The bark is where all the moisture is held from rain. So I'm going to manually strip the bark off my little cedar and balsam twigs so I can get something going, and then I have a little balsam sapling that I'm going to try to get a fire through. And I hope that Sheri is dry and rested and that she is relaxing. She has our gas stove, so hopefully she doesn't feel like she needs to try to start a fire. She's just going to fire up the gas stove, get herself some coffee and maybe some oatmeal, and then head into Shaka where I will meet her. Well, don't look now, but I think Wilson came to the rescue. I don't know if I would have been able to start a fire any other way, but with that little contraption. So we got a fire going. I'm hoping I can get enough wood on there to burn so that I can boil up that little pot so I can have myself a coffee to start my day. Now, it's one thing to get the fire going, it's another thing to keep it going. Just enough. I only have one, like probably 300 milliliters of water I want to get boiling, so going to be a little bit of this action. All right, so things are really starting to look up now. The sun started to come out here, the first flash of sun we've seen. The sky is dotted with blue all over the place. That's the hardest I think I've ever had to work for a simple cup of coffee. But coffee, it's actually cafe mocha, don't let me lie to you. And trail mix for breakfast because I didn't feel like boiling yet more water to get some oatmeal or something. Looking forward to going out exploring a little bit, seeing if there's some trails to these other lakes that are accessible. The thing I'm most looking forward to is meeting up with Sheri on Shaka Lake in a couple of hours. Hopefully her morning's gone well, and I'm sure she's just beaming at this sunlight that's peeking through the clouds for the first time.
Okay guys, here we go. Day 2. We're stuck. Okay, still getting used to that part. The sun came out, so that's fantastic for me. Good news. And yeah, here we go. We're going into Shaka Lake, and Jay's gonna meet up with me there, so we can talk about all our adventures alone. See you there. Maybe tricky with the canoe. Oh, hang on, friends. Okay. Hi. Okay, this is me all alone. First portage ever, all by myself. I think we're good. The sun is out today. I think there's a beach on Shaka. Maybe we'll check it out. We have lots of time on this trip. We just planned a fairly simple trip for my first solo, and I'm enjoying it so far. It's nice. Ooh, it's a little slippery. Yeah, it's a lot slippery. We got through that section, so woohoo! I've arrived at my campsite for tonight on Shaka Lake. Seems we have a welcoming committee somewhere in here. Okay, so we've got camp set up here. I've got camp set up here. I went out and gathered a whole bunch of wood and chopped a bunch of wood. Just kind of letting it sit out in the sun. The sun is out, and dry out a little bit. I'm just gonna sit and read. I'm trying not to explore too much of the island. I know the island pretty much back of hand. We've camped here quite a few times and it's a lovely, lovely spot, but this time there seems to be a nest of woodpeckers and they're a little bothered. So as long as I stay on this side of the campsite, I hope we're okay. The issue is this is only one campsite on this lake. So I'm trying not to upset them too much and just stay out of their way. But this is camp, guys.
Away we go to explore. Let's see what else we can see on this lake. And if we can get to the other lakes. Such a gorgeous day today compared to the last couple of weeks actually. It's been rough weather. I'm going to go explore at the top of Junction Lake here. I'm sure there are lakes that are accessible, likely not by canoeists. So it's probably not a portage trail, but I do imagine it would be a snowmobile trail in the wintertime. So I don't know how accessible it is. That's kind of what the trail here behind my campsite looked like, was only really accessible in winter by snow machines. And that might be what I run into here, but I'd like to see if I can pop into one or two of these lakes before heading this way into Underhill Lake, which is a gorgeous little, tiny wee little lake, but it's so beautiful. But yeah, we'll see what we can find up at the north end here. Couldn't really find a trail. There was a trail kind of that petered out right away, and so I just kind of followed my instincts and kind of veered toward the way that I figured I needed to go. I had to crest a hill and then come down a fair decline to get here, just bushwhacking the whole way. So there's no canoe route into here from the place that I pulled out anyway. But it's a pretty little lake, quiet, gorgeous. I actually dropped my phone while hiking through, unbeknownst to me, and had to go backtracking, and that was tricky with the sort of the bushwhacking. There's no trail, right? So looking back, I had no idea where I came from. In terms of exact steps, I know the broad strokes as to where I've got to go, so don't worry, I'm going to be okay getting back. But anyway, nice little hike. Let's start the day. Oh. How's that for an old growth birch? Paddle for scale. She is a beaut. So being the glutton for punishment that I am, I decided to just keep looking around that end of the lake, and I ended up finding a trail. It just seemed to be a little more grown in than the one that I first found that wasn't actually a trail. But this one was definitely the portage trail. It's much easier trail, pretty wide open, just had to cut down a couple of blow down, and it's maybe 150 meters. So I'm gonna grab the canoe and I'm gonna paddle this lake. So I saw a bald eagle fly into these trees here, and I came into the channel from this direction the first time on that bushwhack trail. That's not a trail. This is a really, really nice lake. It doesn't look like it's used very much. There's a tiny little island just over here that looked like people had shore lunches on. There's, I think I just spotted a decent campsite that doesn't look used hardly at all. Most interestingly, I've spotted what I think is an eagle's nest. The eagle that I saw fly when I entered the lake, I think there's a nest up in the top of it, obviously stately white pine as they do. And I'm gonna go closer, but not too close, and just sort of go on the shore so that I can be steady and try to get some footage of what's going on in the eagle's nest. This lake is magical. Waters are crystal clear, which you don't often find in this part of the north. Sometimes it's tea-colored lakes, kind of murky, but Junction and this lake are just absolutely crystal clear. I think it's getting close to noon, and I just want to go see how Sheri's doing. I want to go hang out with her and see how everything's going. It looks like we've run out of water. Sheri has our towing ropes on our canoe. So I'm going to see if I can just drag this through. It's kind of muskeggy, but hopefully I can get through this. Let's see what we can do. Oh. This is interesting. Because I don't remember Sheri and I slogging like this last time we were through. But we're almost there. Here we are. I do some cutting to get through. I'm getting the feeling not too many people use this part of the route anymore out of the park from Underhill to Junction. Is that? Although that's relatively fresh. That's this year, that fall, that blowdown. Doesn't seem like anybody's used it this year, at least. So here we are. Judging by that, seems I just didn't find the right trail. But this is beautiful Underhill Lake. One more portage for the day, and then I get to hang out with Sheri. I'm finally on Shaka Lake. I don't even know what time it is. I'm gonna guess between 2 and 3. A little bit breezy, a south wind or southwest wind here, but it's good because it'll keep the bugs away. But I see a tent set up on the island side. I think there's only the one side on Shaka these days, so I'm hoping that's Sheri. And that she's just relaxing, man. Looking forward to just chilling this afternoon, reading and catching up.
Here comes Jay. Yay! And it's a little windy.
A little windy, yeah. Those are effing hot. We just took the OTG Meals Spicy Peanut Challenge. And I love spicy things. So I grabbed 2 big handfuls and shoved them in my yap, and then went to take some video footage of some loons. Panic ensued. So they are spicy.
They are spicy.
So we're just here about to have a cafe mocha.
Cheers, baby.
Cheers. I don't know if it's too hot yet. I just poured it, so.
Reunited.
Sounds like we both had pretty good days paddling out there on our lonesome. I'm yammering, as I tend to do.
I'm good. This is a lovely trip. We've been here before. It's
couple of
almost like
times.
coming back to see an old friend.
Okay, we're going to be reading and sipping our cafe mochas.
Cheers, friends.
I'm trying to recover from these spicy peanuts. We're having some dinner here on Shaka Lake. Cher, what are you having?
I'm having braised something in wine sauce with pasta.
Braised pork in wine sauce with pasta. Yeah. Oh, it does look good
good
and smells good. And I'm having OTG Meals beef stroganoff. We're just sitting here by this beautiful fire that Sheri's done for me. I'm just sitting back, relaxing. I'm taking video of these one chatterbox baby woodpecker, but it's just a little soundtrack to our dinner. Bon appetit, my darling.
Yay. Cheers.
Beautiful. The OTG meals, the meat always comes back so well. Not sure what their secret is, but it's great, especially beef. What have you got concocted here?
Okay, so for a treat we brought out some brie, and we have maple syrup, and we have walnuts. So we're gonna see if we can make this work out on the fire. We have crackers for dipping. Of course. Okay, try. Nope, not ready yet.
Not ready yet?
Not ready yet. Oh, close though. Whoa.
I'm sure you guys can hear this incessant chattering. Actually, this is the quietest it's been in a long time. I think they're feeding them. We've consulted with Merlin, and apparently it's a black-backed woodpecker, and we've read up on it, and it checks out. Their parents look like what it looks like in Merlin, but this has been literally nonstop. It's a juvenile in a little hole in their nest in the cedar tree, just yelling so that its parents know that it's hungry and it needs food. But this is, you're going to hear it in all the B-roll. You're going to hear it. It is what it is. This is nature.
Yeah, I think we're pretty lucky to be experiencing the little baby woodpecker, as long as we're not stressing them out. We're just staying away from him. He's just non-stop
Yeah, it's
crying.
not stress. He's just yelling for food so that they know to bring it to him as a chick would, right? But apparently they're very rare. So we're doubly lucky. Hopefully, we're just hoping that at bedtime it rests and is satiated. But we can still sleep through this.
I could. Just not the loons.
Oh yeah, you can't sleep through friggin' loons, but I can sleep no problem through them. Oh, I just got a little maple syrup there. Glamping. How delightful, eh, babe?
Nice change.
It's because it was called the Chia Delight, babe. That's why I called it that.
Delightful.
I get it, okay.
This is our talking tree.
Hey, good morning, everybody. So we're all packed up. It's Canada Day. So for those of you in Canada, happy Canada Day. For those of you outside of Canada, happy July 1st, which is Canada Day. We are just about to set off. I'm going to head back down toward Treeby and do some fishing, try my luck at that. And Sheri's going to complete the loop.
I'm going to complete the loop with the mosquitoes. They've come out to celebrate Canada Day with us.
Couldn't be more Canadian than that.
Yeah, so it should be okay. I have a map. I checked the map. There are a few smallish portages and a few smallish lakes until I meet back up with Jay on
Treeby.
So yeah, wish me luck. The sun is out, the wind is down, which is really good for me. Yeah, I feel confident.
It's good. I just did those portages yesterday and they are indeed short, but they are indeed steep. So yeah, it should be a nice little challenge for you.
Bye. Hey baby, I'm off. Okay guys, this is where we say goodbye to Shaka Lake. So here we go. Day 3 for me. It was nice to see Jay and hang out for an afternoon, and nice to get coffee this morning. So we're now heading out of the actual Lake Superior Provincial Park into some private crown land, or crown land, not private land. And there's a couple of small portages and a couple of small little lakes. Let's see how we do. Did it! A little bit heavy first thing this morning, but I did it. Okay, we made it onto the first tiny little lake, more like a pond, and the portage is straight across. Okay guys, we made it across to the second portage, and it is steep. I could do it no problem with the pack, but I've never done it with a canoe before, so we'll see how this goes. I just took my pack across, and I'm just gonna pull this canoe up a bit. It's a little tricky for me because I have to actually turn it around to carry it the way the yoke is on the canoe. So I'm just gonna pull it up here. Shay will love this.
So that was pretty spectacular. And I was just being as quiet as can be, using my Canadian stroke on Canada Day. And then I heard some snorting. I knew it was a cow and a calf. So our good camera battery died. The answer is no, I didn't bring a spare battery. I thought I did and I didn't. I got some phone footage that hopefully isn't too shaky, but he was probably 60, 70 feet from me. So that was really special. Really, really special.
I'm gonna let you in on a little, not really a secret, but kind of a secret. I never look at the map. I look at the map before trips, but because I wear glasses and because I wear bifocals, it's really hard to wear them on our camping trips, and I have a hard time reading the map. So I generally rely a lot on Jay for that. So I hopped out onto this lake and I thought, oh, the portage is gonna be obvious. And it's not so obvious. So I'm just gonna check the map. Now I did download a map of this park, which is nice, on my phone, so I can zoom in. So hopefully no issues. I'm on my own. Okay guys, we're heading from Underhill Lake into Junction Lake. It's been just over 1 hour, so we're doing good. Off we go. Okay, wrong way. Okay, got it. Did it! It's pretty steep this one again. Jay did warn us. Okay, so we're on Junction Lake now. There seems to be a bit of a headwind. I'm a little bit nervous, but it's not too bad. I think I can push through it. This is one of the longest lakes, but it's pretty narrow, so wish me luck. We made it to the end of Junction Lake. We're heading back into Treeby Lake. That's where we're gonna meet Jay. So I did notice that there were signs on every lake. I didn't have any issues. But anyway, we'll head into Treeby and meet up with Jay. Not quite. Okay. So I didn't quite get that one up, but I can still get under it and pick it up another way, which is a nice option for me.
Oh, we got one. Oh, he's off. It's just a little guy, but had one on there.
A lot of emotions for me on this trip. A lot of firsts. I lost my dad a year ago, but before he passed, when I had mentioned I was going to do a solo canoe trip, he was very worried. He was quite concerned, but I think he would be really proud. My dad always loved canoeing. I don't know if he got to do a lot of it in his life, but he sure did love it. So I think he would be smiling right now and happy for me.
So I'm just at this little stream between Treeby Lake and I guess they call it Bog Lake. I'm just doing a little bit of nymphing while I'm waiting for Sheri to finish her loop. I had a little grasshopper pattern on there. I feel like I almost goaded the little guy in. Little speck. Took it a couple of times, but I've got barbless hooks and he spit it both times. So I had a little guy on. It's only about like maybe that long or something, but I'm gonna move places and check down the lake to see if Sheri's still here. So we're back in Bog Lake, which is what they call it, but I believe it's actually a section of Noisy Creek, which is that section I was just trout fishing at.
we just rescued this little guy. He fell upside down in the water. Dry off your wings.
Oh, he's like, I'm good. So we did it.
We did it!
Sheri did her first solo canoe trip.
I did it. I'm so excited. I'm super elated that I did it. I wasn't sure that I could. Thank you for all of the support. I have some bruises, but I did it. The weather was great. We picked a really simple loop, so I was not too overwhelmed, which I think was helpful. So
It is a nice beginner loop for those of you who are maybe just starting out camping. It's not super remote. You're always kind of within earshot of the highway. None of the portages are super long.
yeah, they're steep in and out, but not super long. Yeah, and there's wildlife. Don't be fooled. There is wildlife.
Absolutely. I saw a calf moose and heard the cow in the forest earlier today, as you guys will have seen. Thank you guys so much for checking it out. We'll see you on the next one.
This is how we camp.